Welcome back again to Joe Stunner Boxing. I hope you're doing well and keeping warm. I'm still wrapped up because I'm not putting the heating on. I will not put the heating on. Those thieving energy bastards will not get an extra penny out of me. Fuck them. Anyway, little mini rant over. Let's talk about Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, I did a video about the face-off that he had with Usyk, and I said in the video, I didn't really read much into it. You know, it was what it was. It was just a little, it was obviously taken a while back because Usyk was dressed up in that, you know, the black suit, red tie, gloves and all that business. And Fury was wearing the same clobber that he had on when they did that thing about a month ago. But I then rewatched the press conference and the face-to-face. And this is me playing amateur psychologist. So I could be completely wrong. I'm not a trained psychologist. I work with people. I've got a caseload of people, you know, who we would loosely call vulnerable adults, I suppose, with all sorts of different issues. But the more you work with people, I've done this for years, so the more you work with people, the more you can sort of read between the lines, if you know what I mean. And you could be wrong. You know, psychologically, we're all strange beasts. We hide things well. We constantly go through life wearing masks, covering up whatever we want to cover up, whatever traits, character traits or thoughts we've got. But you can, the more you work with people, the more you can sort of see, or you have a hunch what's going on. And I watched, like I say, I rewatched the press conference, I watched the face-to-face, and I'm beginning to wonder whether what people have said in the past about Fury, a couple of people have said this, Fury not having the confidence that he once had, not having the interest he once had in boxing. I'm beginning to think, okay, that holds some water. That might be the case, because there is a slight demeanour about him which suggests that, both those things, that suggests he is not particularly confident about this rematch. And when you consider what he said in the past about, you know, being in it for the money and so on, being in it for the money because you're a big name, and he's going to get paid astronomical amounts. Of course he is, as has been the case in the past. But when you get in the ring with someone like Usyk, you've really got to want it. And you've got to be prepared to walk through walls to get it, to walk through fire, to walk on crushed glass. If you're not, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. Now, a lot of people have accused me of saying, you know, being very anti-Fury. That's as far as his antics out of the ring are concerned. Yeah, I criticised him heavily, and I don't take a single syllable back. I think he deserves all the criticism he gets. You know, he lies, he gaslights, he avoids. He did avoid Usyk actually for a long time, and yet you get him in the ring. And even when he loses, as he did to Usyk at the middleweight, he still shows a lot of bottle, and he still shows tremendous fighting heart. Because if you consider that 9th round where he got smashed from pillar to post, literally, he still survived and came back to go the distance, which against Usyk is a hell of a thing. Now, I would say that he does that because that's been his life. He's a kind of born and raised, and he evolved within the culture of the fighting man. You know, Travellers, his old man constantly chewing his ear off, worked with his Uncle Peter. Certainly Uncle Peter is a tough guy. And if you grow up within that culture, you're likely to have that mentality. It is the nature versus nurture thing. So maybe he, you know, I'm sure he was born with that, that confidence. He's obviously an extremely big man, Fury, which always helps. But when you get to the point in life where you think, do you know what? I've done what I set out to do. I've done enough. Even if it's that thought is very much in the back of your mind, and it's a slight thought, at the level you fight at, if you're fighting someone like Usyk, the margin of difference, the margin between winning and losing is so slight, it's so wafer thin, that you've slipped. Even if it's like when they say about, you know, fighters thinking of retirement, they're halfway out the door, because you can't think about it. It shouldn't occur to you. And I get the feeling with Fury that perhaps he's thinking, okay, I'll stick around for this enormous amount of money and make, because it's kind of what I do. I'm a fighter, I've done this since I was a kid virtually, and I'm a big name, and it's how I get my plaudits, and everybody loves me for it, and it defines me. It's not what I do, it's what I am. That's a very common mistake that people make. They think that what they do is what they are. So, as for example, someone like myself who's worked with, for years with drug addicts and alcoholics, you try to emphasize, no, it doesn't define you. It's not what you are, it's what you do. It's an activity. It's kind of like if you've got any clients who are, should we say, sex workers, because they're trying to fund their habit. Even something like that, they can begin to think, well, that's what I am. I'm a prostitute, I'm a whore. No, okay, you are, but you can stop being that, because it's not something that defines you. It's not in your DNA. It's not in your genes. It comes at, you can quit and become an ex-prostitute. You can quit, become an ex-crackhead or whatever, All these things are possible, but you have to get it in your head that once you quit that, once you leave that, you've got to replace it with something else. And that is very often the struggle. Because when you do stop doing something that you've done for years upon years upon years, it leaves a sort of empty, a huge gap. It's almost like you're in limbo. And I get the feeling with Tyson Fury that this is where he's at. He's been a boxer for so long, it defines him almost, and he thinks, well, I'll carry on then. What am I going to do if I'm not in the ring? I need to carry on. I must carry on. That's kind of, he's going to have to at some point find something to replace it. It's the old line about, athletes die in two deaths. They die the athletic death, and then they die the death that we all die, the mortal death. Now, the second point is, getting to the second point, which is that a level of confidence. Looking at Fury being interviewed, I get the feeling, just the look in his eyes, the tone of his voice, the expression on his face, that even though he says the right things, he doesn't necessarily believe them. You can normally tell if someone is kind of blagging it, trying to blag it. You can normally tell if someone is sincere, if they genuinely believe it. Why? Because they just say it. They don't emphasize it. They just sort of state it almost casually. Or perhaps they're very, intense. Someone like Jaya Pattaya, very intense character, big death stare and all that sort of business. You know that he means business. Okay, well, actually, I should say you don't know for certain, but you can sense that the guy is coming to give everything, win, lose or draw. He's not faking that. He's, someone like Tony Bellew, who's a very good fighter, hit hard, good fighter, achieved a lot. I always felt that the bluster that came out of his mouth was basically designed to sort of soup himself up and try and get his engine running. It wasn't when he insulted opponents, he was really doing it just to get himself up and running, to get himself in that mindset. And I think Fury did that for a lot of the time. He's not doing it anymore. He was very respectful towards Usyk. And I wonder if this is because he realises he must surely realise that he can't intimidate Usyk. He can't win any kind of mind game bullshit thing because Usyk's just too strong. If anything, Usyk is putting it on Fury now. I'm not going to leave you alone, my little greedy belly friend, and all this sort of thing. You notice when they meet, Usyk is staring at Fury, not saying anything, just staring at him. There was that bit where he opened his briefcase, got out the photograph of him battering Fury, and walked over and got Fury to sign it. That's quite deep, because Fury was like, yeah, I'll sign it. He's kind of laughed it off. But there was a time when he'd have told Usyk to fuck off. And Fury has talked about, I'm going to do pretty much the same thing I did before. I'm just better prepared. And I haven't got. I can spar this time because I didn't have that cut. You know, there's no doubt during the build up to the first fight, the lack of sparring, and also some personal issues with his wife having a miscarriage and so on. It must have affected him to some degree. And I'm not for a split second saying that that was why Usyk won, and Usyk most certainly did win. But so yes, he can come in better prepared, but he must be thinking, so can Usyk. You know, maybe Usyk will go up a gear. And if you've lost to someone, I mean, you take Lennox Lewis. Now, to me, Lennox Lewis's best performance, and this is very much a mental as well as a physical thing. It was his best performance because of this mental strength he showed as well as his physical capabilities and his talent. His best performance was the rematch against Hasim Rahman, because he had been knocked flat by Rahman, and he was desperate to get him in the ring again, and even took, was it because Rahman left Cedric Kushner and went to Don King? I was a disastrous thing to do. The old case full of money tempted him, and King was trying to get Rahman out of a rematch with Lennox. They were contracted, so that Lennox went to court, got Rahman in the ring, the guy who'd flattened him, and then flattened him around sooner, and that took real mental strength. I don't see that in Fury whenever I see him now. I don't see that type of intensity. And it makes me wonder if he's thinking, you know, can I beat this guy? The doubts are sort of mounting in his head. Now, all of this that I've talked about in this video is speculation. But then that's what we do as boxing fans. We speculate, we talk, you know. Some people will watch this video and say, yeah, I agree with you. Other people will say, no, I don't agree with you. But that's what we do as boxing fans. We have a little chit chat. So leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about this. Where's Fury at? I have doubts, but you tell me what you think. Thank you for watching. As always, please subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the like button. I would appreciate that a great deal. We'll build the channel up. And yeah, it's freezing cold, but the weekend's here, never a bad thing. And enjoy yourselves. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, bye for now.